I'm Dr. Corpse. I'm the composer and sound designer for tinycolony. This is Music from the Crypt, a behind-the-scenes look at some of the music that I wrote for the game. And today we're going to be looking at the Scientist theme. So the Scientist theme is really just chill vibes, atmospheric, lush sounds, kind of futuristic sounds, things that you hear in a lab, kind of just meant to be on in the background while you're chilling out, working, doing their scientist thing. And the chord progression I'm using is actually just 4 chords for the entire track. It's pretty simple, but they're lush sounding chords. It's a B flat major 7 going to a G minor 9 with the 8 in the bass, and then my favorite chord, E flat major 7, and then my other favorite chord, E flat minor major 7 over G flat, using kind of this electronic piano synth sound with a bit of reverb on it. And that's the progression for the entire track. My instinct was just to keep it really chill, keep it really simple, and bring in other instruments and let them kind of do the work, not always needing to change the progression to make it interesting. And next up we have this postcard piano, which is like this detuned piano from Teletone Audio. Really, really cool sound. Highly recommend looking into them for sure. So I took this raw sound and added a bit of EQ, and then I added a UBK compressor, the UBK1 by Kush Audio. Adds a bit of saturation and compression, and then I added the Magic Touch, which is the isotope vinyl plugin. This makes it really, really gritty, makes it sound like it's warping, like there's dust on a record. It just gives it a really cool characteristic. So next we have the guitar, and the guitar is actually only used in this track, in the entire soundtrack. For some reason, I just felt like it fit for the Scientist theme. So what you're hearing right now is the raw guitar sound, just recorded straight in. It sounds pretty nice, but I'm always trying to make things fit into a certain characteristic and make it my own. So this is the Archetype Abasi plugin by Neural DSP. Gives it a soft feeling. It's being compressed a lot. And then I also have another compressor that's mainly just being used as a sidechain. And then I have a Soundtoys Micro Shift, which is a really, really nice wonky kind of chorus effect. And everything I have is really detuned and loose. So let's take a look at the kick and the guitar sidechaining. So basically every time the kick comes in, the guitar is going to duck to make room for the kick coming in. I like this effect a lot on this track on the guitar because it makes the guitar less like a guitar and more like a pad. Gives it more like a lush sound rather than having this sharp attack with the strings or with the pick hitting the strings. So let's take a listen here. Let's take a look at the drums a little bit closer here. So everything I use is going through a plugin from Native Instruments called Battery 4. I use Battery 4 to load in all my samples and play it as a kit. So you just load your samples in here, whichever ones you want, can be totally custom. I have 2 hats going on here. One is panned a little left, one's a little right, and I'm actually using a tremolo on it, kind of like an EQ actually. So there's a little bit of like this rhythmic pumping effect that you get from the tremolo on the hats. A little transient shaper on the kick to make it a little bit more punchy. right, let's take a look at the main synth and main melody. So when I was writing the track, I was actually pretty happy with the way it was turning out. Everything was grooving, it was feeling really good, sounded nice, but I felt like it was missing something, and like a main element. I couldn't figure out what it was. And then I came across this sound, the synth sound, and kind of had this accordion vibe, like I was in Paris or something. And I thought, yeah, this might actually work. It has this unique quality to it, gives it some character, and yeah, I was messing around with it, and it turned out to be probably one of my favorite parts of the track. Let's take a listen here. And I added a bunch of effects to make it my own, kind of shape the sound in a different way. This is without the effects. It actually sounds really good without the effects by itself, but I felt like for this track in particular, adding the effects to it made it sit in the mix a little bit better and fit the overall kind of feeling of the track that I was trying to get at. So I have some EQ, and then I have a compressor that's kind of smashing it and saturating it quite a lot. And then I have the Sound Toys Micro Shift, which has like a really, really detuned chorus. It kind of spreads the sound out, makes it kind of like tuck into the mix a little bit better. This section is part of the bridge. I think what gives it this, it's almost like a lullaby quality. You have the bottom bass line, I guess you could call it. It's ascending, and the top line is descending. Kind of makes me feel like a little bit sleepy. It's kind of wonky, sleepy sound. So these sound effects are actually one of my favorite elements of this track. And they're basically just gadget sounds, electronic sounds, computer sounds, all the things you hear in a lab. Some vinyl crackle here. And I tried to fit them in and make them, intentional. The placement of them is very intentional. It kind of builds with the track, it swells with it. I use them as transition pieces, and yeah, I think they're actually really effective. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. This was just a little quick overview, but if you have something in particular that you'd want me to go over in one of the future videos, just let me know. Get in touch with me, shoot me a message, and I'd be happy to do that. So thanks for tuning in once again. This is my dog Cheech. Peace.